Okay, now student, here in this video we will discuss about the balance of autonomous items and accommodating items. Okay, so these questions may come like in just these questions may come in just define autonomous items and accommodating items, or the question may comes like distinguish between accommodating items and autonomous items and accommodating items. So if the question become like distinguish between autonomous items and accommodating items, then you distinguish it in left side and right side way. Okay, so first we will discuss about the autonomous items. The autonomous items are those international economic transactions in the current account and capital account that are undertaken for certain economic or profit motive. That means autonomous items are those economic transactions which are used or which are undertaken for economic motives or profit motive, or profit economic or profit motive. So it is those economic transactions, whether it is capital account or current account, it is those international economic transactions which have some economic motive or profit motive. Autonomous items, we will include those items in autonomous items, or we will include those economic transactions, we will include those economic transactions into autonomous items which are economic motive or profit motive, or you can say business motives. And that is why these items are always, this is number 1, this is number, you can write this is number 2, is always, these items are also known as above the line, of above the line, above the line items. It is called above, it is known as above the line items. Okay, so in autonomous items, autonomous receipts, if autonomous receipt is less than, if autonomous receipt is less than autonomous payments, then BOP, that means balance of payment, is in deficit. We know it that if receipt is less than, payment, that means if our earning is less than expenditure, then definitely it will deficit. Definitely it is deficit if our earning is less than expenditure. That means if our receipt is less than payment, what I am earning, that is receipt, and what we are paying, that is our expenditure. So if receipt is less than payment, that means what will happen? Balance of payment will be deficit. Okay, so if autonomous receipt is less than autonomous payment, that means definitely it is balance of payment will be deficit. If balance of payment deficit, that means we are, suppose we are earning, we are receiving, suppose $40, and our payment is suppose $60. Okay, so how much it is our deficit? Receipt is $40, payment is $60. So how much it is deficit? How much is deficit? $20 deficit. So $20 is our deficit. If our country shows deficit in the balance of payment, then what we will do? We have to borrow some amount of dollar from other countries. That means what? That means liability creates. That means liability creates. We know it. If you borrow, if you loan from other countries, then it will create some liability. So autonomous transactions may create liability if it shows deficit in the balance of payments. Okay, if it shows deficit in the balance of payments. But autonomous transactions will always be independent in the balance of payment account. Okay, autonomous transactions will always be independent in the balance of payment account. It will not depend on any other account or any other transactions. Okay, that is why autonomous transactions are always independent. It will not depend on any other transactions. Okay, next comes to accommodating items. Accommodating items In accommodating items are those economic transactions which are undertaken to fulfill other activities in the balance of payment. So accommodating items are those items, or accommodating items include those economic transactions, those economic transaction those economic transaction which fulfill the balance of payment, fulfill which fulfill the balance of payment. Okay, balance of payment, that means basically the accommodating transactions refer or include those transactions basically which will maintain the balance of payment. Okay, accommodating items are those items or those transactions which basically try to balance the balance of payment. Okay, autonomous items are those economic transactions which basically include the economic motive or profit motive. Okay, in autonomous items, those transactions we will include which transactions include or which transactions refer economic motive or profit motive. But in accommodating items, which transactions will balance the which transactions will try to fulfill or balance the balance of payment. Okay, we'll try to balance the balance of payment. That means if the balance of payment is deficit, then it will try to balance the balance of payment. If it is surplus, then those transactions will include which will balance the balance of payment. That means if our BOP is deficit or surplus, then our government will finance, or government will take some initiatives. Okay, if the balance of payment shows deficit or surplus, okay, then our government will either finance to make the balance of payment balance, or some transactions, whether it is capital account transactions or current account transactions, will be used to make the balance of payment balance. Okay, so accommodating items will include those economic transactions which will try to balance the balance of payment. If the balance of payment is deficit or in surplus form, then government will use those economic transactions which will try to make the balance of payment balance. Okay, and that is why these items will always below the line items. Okay, that means it will include those short-term economic transactions which will always try to correct the disequilibrium of balance of payment. So accommodating items will include those economic transactions which will try to balance or try to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. Okay, so this is autonomous transactions and accommodating transactions. You can define it, okay, with example, autonomous transactions and accommodating transactions. Or if the questions comes like in differentiate between autonomous items and accommodating items, then you also write it just in left side and right side way. Make the left side and right side, then you make the difference. Okay, this much.